Hi, I'm State Senator Phil Williams. I'm the Republican Senator for Etowah and Cherokee counties. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for allowing me to be here with you tonight. I'll tell you first of all why I'm not there, and I apologize. By the time I realized that this event was taking place, I was already scheduled to give a speech in Etowah County, and that's where I am right now. Give you a quick snapshot about me. I'm a family man, been married to my sweet wife Charlene for over 27 years, and we have two great adult kids. Our son Josh graduated from Auburn a few years ago, and he's now an active duty Army officer and just went overseas for 9 months. And our daughter Caitlin just graduated last week from Auburn and is staying for her master's, and we're very proud parents. I'm also a veteran myself. I've served 25 years. I'm a colonel in the Alabama National Guard, and I've done 2 tours overseas since 9/11 myself, one in Afghanistan and one in Iraq. What brought me to this area over 20 years ago was I was in full-time ministry. The first 10 years after college, what I did was work with teenagers, like many of you, full-time. And it's a calling, and I respect that. And then here I am now in politics. But I'll tell you why I ran in 2010. I really felt like the state could do better than what we were doing. I felt like there were things that could take place. And I was excited about getting involved, and I did, and here I am now. And here's a little bit of what we've done over the last few years, and then I'll talk just about education after that. I'm very excited about the fact that I'm a conservative, fiscally, socially, in every respect, and last year I was actually named as one of the most conservative senators in the entire legislature. I'm very pro-life. I've carried a number of pro-life bills myself, and in the last 4 years, you've seen more pro-life legislation come out of the Senate than ever before. I'm also very pro-gun. I've done several things here recently to help defend our Second Amendment. But on top of that, I'm a fiscal conservative. I believe in budgeting processes that should be constrained and spend within our means, and whereas Washington, D.C. cannot balance a budget to save their lives, we do so in Alabama. And you've hopefully noticed in the last 4 years, you've not heard that awful word proration even once. We've been doing quite a bit to help push back on federal overreach, where Democrats are out of control and they're doing far too much to burden our society. We've been doing a number of things here, especially against Obamacare. Jobs in the economy. I've carried several bills and been very successful in getting legislation passed that has created an environment in Alabama that brings companies in, expands companies who are here. We now have one of the lowest unemployment rates in the entire Southeast, and we got there faster than anybody else. The last thing I want to point out to you before I talk about education is one that I'm very pleased with, and that's legislative pay. In 2007, the Democrats gave themselves a 62% pay raise. I thought that was a horrible thing, and one of the commitments that I made was I would go in, I would not take my full legislative pay, and I also said that I would work to repeal it, and I've done both. I've never taken my full pay. Even as recently as a few weeks ago, I turned down another opportunity for a cost of living adjustment because I knew it was not right. But I also successfully fought for and won a repeal of that 2007 pay raise. It was a commitment I made and one that I've kept. Now on education, I'll say this right up front. I think there's been some very harmful, some very disingenuous rhetoric, and I will not allow someone else to classify me and to tell others how I feel about education. I'll tell you how I feel. I appreciate you more than you could possibly know. I stand with you in the things that you stand for, and I am very pro-education. I know that you have a full-time job with a full-time calling. I've done a number of things over the past few years to help with that, increasing money for classroom supplies. I was one of the ones who fought for and won putting back in the stipend for National Board Certified teachers. I've given over $100,000 in grants to my local classrooms across 4 school districts. Last year, I was actually named as the Alabama Community Education Association's Benefactor of the Year because of my support for after-school programs. Last year, I was one of the senators who worked behind the scenes to ensure that we could get a 2% pay raise for educators and support personnel in the budget. And then this year, we heard from you. As we came back in planning to do a pay raise, but not sure what kind of money we would have, we quickly learned that Obamacare had come in and created an $85 million increase in the cost of your PHIP. But we did hear from you, and we knew that out-of-pocket expenses were your biggest concern. And so we made sure that we found funding this year to ensure there were no additional out-of-pocket expenses incurred, and we funded PHIP. But I'm going to tell you one more thing, and I'm going to speak from the heart on this. I come from an education family. Many people don't realize my degree is a BS in education. And whereas I went into full-time youth ministry instead of classroom teaching, I did teach for 5 years in a private school, and I worked in a public school in their athletic program as a volunteer with Emma Sansom High School as a trainer. I also have a cousin, Jane, 37 years, retired public educator. My wife taught for 12 years in a private school. My sister-in-law is a public school cafeteria worker, And my soon-to-be daughter-in-law, which we're really excited about, is a public school, middle school teacher. It runs deep in our family. I said it a moment ago, you have a full-time job with a full-time calling. Don't let anyone tell you that I don't appreciate you. I do. And I do sincerely. And I thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you tonight.